From the depths of the earth to the treetops, and from the driest deserts to the frozen tundras, a hidden world rises in the shadows, sheltering millions of lives. A silent, yet omnipresent legion forms vast ecosystems. In this microscopic realm, each species faces its own challenges and plays a crucial role in the delicate balance of nature. At the heart of the colony, the queen bee dictates the pulse of life. Leafcutter ants, in an endless caravan, advance, carrying their sustenance. And amidst the thick vegetation, the stick insect, a master of camouflage, disappears into the foliage. Nature has never been so diverse, expressing life in a vast array of unimaginable forms. This is the world of insects, a tiny kingdom that hides the planet's greatest secrets. From deep in the forest, the cicada breaks the abysmal silence with its deafening song. On the horizon, millions of monarch butterflies take flight, on a journey of thousands of kilometers. And the sturdy rhinoceros beetles, armored beasts, wage a life and death battle for reproduction. From the solitary cricket to the teeming termites, each species is an unmistakable example of the creator's imagination. Not even the deepest night is an obstacle for these skilled survivors. Under the moon's gaze, the dung beetle begins its arduous task of pushing a giant ball of dung. As dusk falls, copious swarms of bloodthirsty mosquitoes take over the skies. And as darkness falls, fireflies rise up as an escape from the darkness with their flashing, luminous organs. With more than 1 million described species, insects are the most diverse group of animals on the planet. While the vast number of ants, grasshoppers, bees, and cicadas discovered is impressive, according to estimates, there are still approximately 30 million undescribed species, which would make this class of arthropods represent around 90% of life forms on our planet. In addition to harboring a biodiversity unmatched by any other animal species, insects are extremely abundant. An example of this is the endless colonies of ants, which can shelter up to 20 million individuals. According to estimates, for every human being on the planet, there are around 200 million insects, which shows a clear dominance of these wild species. With their incredible survival skills and adaptability, there is virtually no place on the planet they haven't colonized. In the midst of arid deserts, where temperatures easily exceed 50 degrees Celsius, ants and beetles prevail against the oppressive heat. At the planet's poles, where extreme cold destroys all possibility of life, Arctic bumblebees and Antarctic mosquitoes develop incredible adaptations to sub-zero temperatures. Meanwhile, in the deepest abysses, where light is nothing more than a myth, cave crickets, springtails, and other blind insects evolve to live in darkness. But the hostile living conditions they face in their biomes are not the only challenge to their survival. To make a place for themselves in their inhospitable ecosystems, these arthropods see unprecedented savagery as their only alternative. The vast insect domains have been conquered with violence as their standard. The ants, war veterans, begin bloody battles for resources in which countless armies clash head-on, leaving a scene filled with death and destruction. Assassin bugs, expert ambush hunters, become the scourge of countless species of insects, arachnids, and even small vertebrates. And the praying mantis, a camouflaged predator, waits patiently for its prey, inflicting terror on thousands of animal species. This is the world of insects, a kingdom full of contrasts where, while flashing fireflies captivate with their brilliance, wasps terrify with their acts of savagery. Probably one of the species that evokes all the majesty of the insect class are the imposing monarch butterflies. East of the Rockies in the far North American West, These captivating winged creatures soar in one of nature's most impressive flights. Although, with a wingspan of no more than 10 centimeters, they may not be the largest animal species in the skies. These Lepidoptera are a living example of adaptation and resilience. Of course, the most striking feature of its appearance is its bright orange wings, with prominent black veins and edges dotted with white spots. Monarchs are generally primarily active during the day. As soon as the sun rises, this tiny winged creature emerges from its nighttime roost, where it shelters from the cold night. Since its small body makes it extremely sensitive to low temperatures, it needs to warm up, and a few hours of sunbathing with its wings outstretched will be more than enough. Once it has reached an optimal temperature, the Lepidoptera makes a few short flights to stretch its muscles and get in shape. Ready for flight, it's time to begin one of the tasks that takes up most of their day: perching from flower to flower in search of nutritious nectar. This sugary elixir provides them with all the energy they need to undertake their long flights, as well as to perform other vital functions. To suck up the exquisite nectar, butterflies use their proboscis, a process they repeat over and over again throughout their busy schedules. Although they obtain much of their hydration from their diet, these insects require drinking water to stay hydrated. Of course, weighing less than a gram, they don't particularly need vast tributaries to drink, being able to quench their thirst with just a few tiny drops of dew. Likewise, mud puddles are an important source of both water and minerals, essential for their health. Males, especially, use these nutrients to produce mating pheromones, which will help them attract receptive females. During the breeding season, males are eager, actively patrolling their territories. Anything that even resembles a female will be immediately pursued by these eager to procreate Lepidoptera. Upon identifying a female, a vigorous chase begins, in which the male ends up wrapping his wings around what he hopes will be a receptive female. Once the female is subdued, the male displays his sexual organ, which resembles a small brush. This releases the coveted pheromones, which serve to persuade the female to open up for copulation. Throughout this act, the male appears coarse, subduing the female, and with the female completely immobile, the sexual organs of both insects come together. During copulation, which can last up to several hours, the male not only transfers sperm to the female, but also a significant amount of nutrients that will greatly aid in laying the eggs. At the end of copulation, with the job done, the male deposits a kind of plug in the female's genital opening, which prevents her from copulating with other suitors, as well as guaranteeing his paternity. After this act of extreme possession, the male, without looking back, leaves the entire burden of laying the eggs to the female and leaves never to return. Already fertilized, and with up to 500 eggs on the way, one of the most delicate moments of reproduction arrives, as the future mother must find milkweed plants in which to lay her future offspring. The female often lays only one egg per leaf, trying to spread the eggs across as many plants as possible. This is a defensive maneuver against predators. After laying, the female, following the male's example, abandons the eggs to their fate. Fortunately, after only 3 to 5 days, they hatch, emerging as tiny caterpillars that are practically born feeding on milkweed. After a growth process and several molts, the no longer small caterpillar will become a pupa or chrysalis, from which, after 7 to 15 days, a majestic adult monarch butterfly will emerge. And fortunately, the now adult butterfly emerged from its cocoon just in time to perform one of wildlife's most impressive feats. And with the arrival of autumn, knowing that winter is approaching, The monarch butterfly colonies that live east of the Rockies look south and prepare to complete a feat of up to 4,000 kilometers, which will take them to a warmer destination in the dense fir forests of Mexico. For this challenging migration, the butterflies gather in large orange carpets where millions of insects pile up. This is a strategy to protect themselves from the low temperatures, as well as from predators, because of course, this spectacular journey is not exempt from hungry insectivores eager to satisfy their appetites with the monarchs. However, despite appearing extremely harmless, when a small rodent, bird, or even another insect devours one of these winged creatures, you will see firsthand why it is not a good idea to meddle with royalty. The vibrant orange color on their wings, far from being decorative, is a warning sign about one of the secrets hidden by these lepidopterans, and that is that. With a diet since their first days of life based on milkweed, monarch butterflies have accumulated potent toxins in their bodies, which, when ingested by other species, can cause nausea, vomiting, and general malaise, causing the hunter to immediately regurgitate what until a few seconds ago was a tasty prey, and question whether to hunt one of these not at all appetizing insects again. After traversing an endless path to their southern winter refuge, the vast colonies of monarch butterflies have finally reached their destination. Here, they will spend a few months enjoying what appears to be an oasis for animal life, protected from the low temperatures. Of course, when temperatures in their northern home rise again, these flyers will turn around and head for their privileged northern habitat. But right there, in the lush fir forests, in those trees where carpets of monarch butterflies perch, a few centimeters inside the wood, millions of tiny insects are having a veritable feast. For termites, these vast tropical forests are a paradise, with an almost endless source of cellulose, their main food. Measuring no more than 12 millimeters, each tiny termite is part of something larger, expressed in a gigantic colony. Of course, to maintain relative order in this multitudinous society, these insects have a very strict hierarchy, where work is divided into groups called castes. The reproductive castes represent the highest stratum of this entire segregated society, in which the founding king and queen of the colony stand as the only ones with the right to reproduction. While the 500 eggs that monarch butterflies can lay in a mating season are impressive, the termite hierarchy is capable of laying up to 36,000 eggs per day, a production rate that guarantees the accelerated growth of the colony, and thus, in theory, its survival. Of course, for this, they need a king at their side, who has the exhausting task of constantly fertilizing the female. The workers are among the least favored members of this society, since the reproductive castes are entirely responsible for the growth of the colony. Both male and female workers are sterile and blind. Despite the few privileges they may have in this humble stratum, worker termites bear the brunt of the colony's workload. They forage for food, build the nest, care for the eggs and larvae, and even personally feed the other castes. Probably one of the few tasks, besides reproduction, for which worker bees are not solely responsible, is the defense of the colony. Security is the responsibility of the soldiers, also sterile and blind, who fight against potential intruders who dare to invade their domain. For this purpose, the Creator equipped the soldiers with specialized mandibles, capable of causing damage to their enemies. The ferocity of the soldier termites is about to be put to the test with the incursion of one of their most bloodthirsty enemies. There are many reasons why ants and termites may come into conflict. These include fights over territory, disputes over pieces of wood, and even a predator-prey relationship, as many ant species view termites as high-protein snacks. For the little grasshopper, there is no obstacle that its powerful legs cannot overcome in one leap. Measuring no more than 10 centimeters, this solitary insect spends its days fighting for its life in one of the world's most vibrant ecosystems. In the Amazon, every corner teems with life. While this can be an advantage, given the bountiful ecosystem, it also poses significant challenges to the survival of this jumping insect. Despite not having been endowed by the Creator with a large size, and lacking the advantage of living in a large colony, the hermit grasshopper has more than enough tools to ensure its survival, even in the midst of the wild Amazon. Its exorbitantly large and muscular legs, designed for rapid, powerful leaps, are its primary escape mechanism from any threat that appears on the horizon. Its two pairs of membranous wings also allow it to see high above, as a convenient escape route from the many predators who would literally kill to devour a high-protein grasshopper. Swallows, woodpeckers, geckos, iguanas, snakes, frogs, bats, monkeys, and even other insects can pose an unprecedented threat to the survival of the cunning grasshopper, making it part of its diet. Faced with such a hostile environment, with predators everywhere, this ingenious insect, reluctant to perish, uses its best survival skills to evade its many pursuers. The grasshopper's entire physiognomy is specially adapted to provide it with enviable camouflage. Its vibrant coloration in shades of green, brown, and gray mimics dried leaves, bark, or lichens, abundant vegetation in the Amazonian ecosystem. Although its first line of defense will always be to display cryptic behavior, remaining motionless in the face of a potential threat, when detected by a predator, the agile grasshopper will not hesitate to live up to its name and flee with an explosive leap away from danger. Given its prodigious jumping abilities, this insect can leap distances of up to 1 meter in one fell swoop, enough to escape its pursuers. To further confuse its predators, the insect can alternate its jumps with erratic flights, which will cause them to lose track of it. Although the vibrant colors on their hind wings seem to put a target on these orthopterans, the truth is that, when they jump or embark on one of their rapid flights, by unfolding them, they can cause a flashing effect, which momentarily confuses their stalkers, enough for them to return to their camouflage, or escape the scene. Even when caught by ruthless predators, these insects do not give up, and in a pure display of cunning, they can regurgitate their gastric contents onto their body, which attempts to deter their captor from devouring them. Likewise, being just seconds away from being swallowed by a hungry monkey or a voracious swallow, the grasshopper, utterly refusing to let itself be embraced by the warm coat of death, launches multiple kicks with its sharp hind legs as a desperate measure of defense. Having surprisingly survived the onslaught of its predators, this resilient insect sets out to satisfy its appetite. While its enviable agility, as well as a leaping ability that borders on the surreal, makes it look like a skilled hunter, waiting for the slightest mistake from its prey to devour it. The truth is that grasshoppers are inveterate herbivores who will satisfy their appetite through grasses and leaves. To find their abundant food sources, these insects typically display random movement behavior across large distances around their habitat, spending long hours of their day hopping and walking through vegetation, and with a diet that is anything but fussy, the chances of stumbling upon something are quite high, especially living in the bountiful Amazon rainforest. In the active search for succulent leaves, their large eyes are of great help, as they allow them to detect shapes and objects, as well as distinguish vegetation on the ground. Their tiny antennae, which at first glance might seem to serve no basic purpose for their survival, become crucial tools for detecting tasty plants. By perceiving the subtlest scents, they are able to locate their favorite plants, even in the middle of a dense tropical rainforest. knowing that it lives in a wild ecosystem where even plants develop measures to avoid being eaten. When it encounters a potential food source, before desperately devouring its leaves, the insect uses its mouth palps to carefully test the leaf surface. This behavior can save it from ingesting leaves with an unpleasant taste, or even those that, after years of evolution, contain potent toxins to avoid being eaten. Despite leading a solitary lifestyle, when breeding season arrives, this tiny insect breaks its elusive behavior and sets out to attract a fertile female to its corner of the Amazon rainforest. To do so, it produces a distinctive sound by beating its wings against its legs, letting the females of the species know there's a male eager to breed in the vicinity. Another time they can emit their peculiar sound is when they feel threatened, in a strange social behavior in which they try to warn their peers of imminent danger. While the agile grasshopper relies on its powerful leaps to ensure its survival in the wild Amazon, the untamed and temperamental rhinoceros beetle prefers to solve its problems using its sharp horn. With a robust, slightly flattened body and a prominent horn on its head, it's not difficult to see where this impressive insect's name comes from. Despite its clumsy and massive body, this beetle is surprisingly adept at flying, able to move with great ease between trees in search of new territories to explore. This small horned creature typically makes its way through the jungle at night, when its shiny black color helps it disappear into the darkness. Since their feeding peak occurs during their larval stage, when they devour all types of decaying matter, adults do not usually have a very demanding diet, and in many cases, they simply survive on the energy reserves stored from their larval stage. However, when their stomachs start to growl, rotten fruit, young leaves, flower nectar, or tree sap can calm their hunger. To locate these abundant food sources, insects use their antennae, which are riddled with chemoreceptors, to detect the smell of sap or rotten fruit. Their sense of smell is their primary tool for finding these snacks in the middle of a vast jungle. In addition to their imposing horn, rhinoceros beetles share with the African mammal their volatile temperament. Especially when a fertile female is involved, conflicts between these insects are inevitable. In a bloodthirsty dispute over the right to procreate, the arthropods will travel hundreds of meters following nature's call to reproduce. Once close to the female, when two males clash, there's only one way to resolve the friction. They engage in a savage duel for the right to mate. During these bouts, of course, their versatile horns will take control of the fight. Far from wanting to kill its opponent, the objective of each beetle is to get under the body of its rival, and with a single jerk, lift it up and flip it over, with a sharp weapon stuck to their heads, and being the strongest animals in the world in proportion to their size, reaching the capacity to lift almost 900 times their weight. It is easy to sense that in this battle there is no truce, and hostilities, apart from being a demonstration of savagery, become a daily occurrence. Time and again, both males charge at each other with great force, trying to knock their opponent out of the arena or immobilize them. While each blow is delivered with the utmost ferocity, the truth is that these duels are highly ritualized. So there are a series of unwritten rules that help prevent serious injuries. After several minutes of combat, the weaker male simply withdraws, leaving the winning insect the right to copulate. Although these duels often seem fierce, with neither combatant willing to give in, there can occasionally be momentary pauses in the hostilities. For example, when the female leaves the fighting arena, the males call a brief truce, ensuring that no other suitor preempts them in copulation while they duel. Likewise, living in an ecosystem plagued by predators, if an insectivorous species approaches the battlefield during a confrontation, the beetles will not hesitate to pause their fight for reproduction and seek safety. With birds of prey, coyotes, armadillos, snakes, spiders, and centipedes eager to devour these robust, high-protein insects, the beetle must be resourceful to avoid being gobbled up by its myriad predators. When faced with a small predator, like other insects, the beetle has no problem standing up to the threat. Its robust horn, along with its hard shell, are the tools its creator has given it. Opponents such as insects or spiders can find themselves facing a formidable enemy, which can even cause significant injuries. Of course, when faced with a large predator, there's no armor that's worth it, and often the best defense is to do nothing. While they don't have the best camouflage in the world, these arthropods, by relying on stealth, can manage to go unnoticed, thus avoiding what would be certain death. In addition to remaining calm and hoping not to be detected, this cunning insect can always use its wings to quickly fly away to safety. Aside from its amazing survival skills, the rhinoceros beetle has a relatively short lifespan of only about 4 years. During this time, the beetle, starting from a tiny egg in decaying matter, undertakes the feat of maturing into a formidable adult and finding a fertile female to ensure the preservation of the species. Near the habitat of the robust rhinoceros beetle in the Amazon, another arthropod lies motionless among the vegetation. For the cunning praying mantis, there is no other way to live than by concealing itself in its striking stealth. At no more than 7 centimeters in length, the praying mantis is one of the most impressive insects on the planet. Its long, slender body, with thin antennae and a triangular head, gives it a terrifying appearance. Its raptorial forelegs, crowned with razor-sharp spines, are the complement that makes this insect a nightmare for countless prey throughout the vast Amazonian ecosystem. As if that weren't enough, it also has 2 pairs of wings that allow it to soar through the air like a pro. Unlike the herbivorous rhinoceros beetle, the praying mantis completely switches from a diet based on fruits and organic matter to an extremely carnivorous diet, devouring any prey within reach of its enviable hunting skills. Flies, mosquitoes, grasshoppers, cockroaches, ants, spiders, reptiles, small birds, and even tiny rodents can be devoured in just seconds by this insatiable predator. Despite having a body specially designed for killing, the praying mantis's greatest hunting skill is, by far, its stealth. Hidden, cold, and calculating among the dense vegetation, this ingenious hunter disappears from sight of its prey, waiting for the perfect moment to launch its attack. Its green and brown coloring is ideal for hiding in the surrounding foliage. Similarly, millions of years of evolution have led its body parts to mimic dried leaves, branches, bark, or even flowers. Thanks to its prodigious vision and the ability to rotate its head up to 180 degrees, the mantis can scan its surroundings with great efficiency, alert for unsuspecting prey that gets close enough to a deadly ambush. Once its victim is just a few centimeters away, the insect launches its ferocious attack in the blink of an eye. Sweeping forward with its raptorial legs at an almost imperceptible speed, the prey never had even the slightest chance of survival. Immediately, just seconds after capture, the predator wastes no time and begins to devour its victim. Often, while the prey is still struggling for its life, it is swallowed alive, a slow and painful death at the hands of one of nature's most bloodthirsty and efficient predators. However, despite the lethality that the praying mantis may display on its prey, the food chain in the ecosystem it has chosen as its home is ruthless, and just as it subdues its victims, sometimes the one that ends up being devoured is this feared hunter. Birds, spiders, toads, snakes, lizards, small mammals, and even other insects can take it upon themselves to do justice to the thousands of victims of the praying mantis by incorporating it into their diet. Of course, the mantis will not be easy prey to hunt. And if a predator wants to subdue it with its bite, it will have to put up a fight. That same enviable stealth ability that allows it to capture its prey is its best tool for escaping predators. Remaining hidden among vegetation, this insect is almost invisible, which makes devouring its body even more difficult. Mimicry in this species is so advanced that even nymphs can imitate ants to avoid attacks from potential predators. When directly threatened by a predator, far from surrendering to death, this reluctant survivor adopts challenging postures, rearing up and raising its front legs to appear larger. It also often spreads its wings and even waves or vibrates to produce a hissing sound that intimidates the predator. When its camouflage skills and threat displays fail to deter a predator, it will always spread its wings and take the easy way out with a quick escape. While it isn't usually a master of the skies, it can escape its predator with a short, erratic flight. The cunning of praying mantises is such that some, when besieged, choose to engage in a peculiar form of thanatosis, that is, feigning death by falling to the ground and remaining motionless. Some predators, seeing the lifeless insect, may lose interest and withdraw from the scene. If even this ingenious survival measure doesn't work, with its life at stake, the insect will unleash its full aggression in a vicious hand-to-hand fight. With ferocious bites and scratches, the mantis is capable of holding its own even against larger predators. However, in some cases, it is she who ends up being overwhelmed and falls into the clutches or jaws of a worthy adversary. In many cases, the greatest enemy to the survival of a praying mantis is, in fact, another mantis. When breeding season arrives and females begin releasing pheromones to attract males nearby, unwary males who approach the females without due caution can end up becoming their prey. Since the female is considerably larger and tends to have a somewhat explosive temper, unwary appearances at breeding sites can cost the lives of several males. To avoid being devoured by a hungry female, the most experienced males approach stealthily, hiding behind their advanced camouflage abilities. When the female turns her triangular head toward him, he remains motionless and slowly advances toward the position of the potential mother of his young. Once close to the female, the male pounces and subdues her with his paws, a somewhat hostile act that ensures he doesn't become prey for his mate. Immediately, since his life is at risk with every passing second, the male initiates copulation, an act that can last for several hours. This is when one of the most savage scenes in the microscopic, yet interesting world of insects occurs. While copulating, or just seconds later, the female, in a display of her ferocity, decapitates the male. This lightning attack can significantly increase the duration and quality of copulation by inhibiting the male's nerves, thereby ensuring greater reproductive success. After the far from brief copulation, the now fertilized female proceeds to consummate her cruel act of sexual cannibalism by devouring the man who will be the future father of her offspring, in order to take advantage of all his nutrients and prepare for the laying of up to hundreds of eggs. With the praying mantis hiding again among the green Amazonian vegetation, after finishing devouring the male with whom it has just copulated, on the other side of the world, in Southeast Asia, deep in the dense tropical rainforest of Borneo, a flying insect, no longer living hidden in the shadows, prefers to soar through the skies, stealing all the attention with its bright colors. With a wingspan of up to 12 centimeters in vibrant colors and shades of blue, green, red, and yellow, the dragonfly is one of those creatures that the Creator has endowed with captivating beauty. In addition to its striking colors, its large eyes, elongated abdomen, and 2 pairs of large transparent wings make this beetle an unmistakable species, even in the middle of a tropical rainforest where biodiversity is abundant. Perhaps one of the disadvantages of living in a habitat where wildlife is found in its purest form is that predators willing to devour a striking insect like the dragonfly are more than numerous. Tropical birds such as hornbills and parrots, tree frogs, green snakes, orb-weaving spiders, praying mantises, and even freshwater fish, in the case of nymphs, may view this captivating insect as desirable prey. Of course, being true masters of the skies, at the slightest sign of a possible threat, the dragonfly will not hesitate to spread its wings and take flight. In a claustrophobic environment, where the vegetation is so dense, this insect's maneuverability in the air is simply impressive, capable of making tight turns, explosive accelerations, and sudden braking, allowing it to evade its countless predators. The secret of its unparalleled flying prowess lies in its ability to move its forewings independently. It is more than common to see these agile insects retreating in the air, moving from one side to the other, remaining static, and changing course in 90-degree turns in just seconds. Their survival tactics also include constant surveillance of their perimeter. Thanks to their immense eyes, they can detect any potential threat from a distance, giving them enough time to escape in an honorable retreat. Although their main countermeasure to the cruel intentions of their predators will always be to spread their long wings and take flight, some dragonflies may choose to try to hide, perching on trunks or branches in patterns that imitate bark or moss. In addition to this ingenious camouflage strategy, despite being primarily diurnal, other insects prefer to be most active during the hours of dawn or dusk, when most predators are still blinded by the darkness and are also seeking refuge from the sweltering tropical heat. Leaving aside its captivating appearance, the truth is that the dragonfly, like the praying mantis, is a bloodthirsty predator, willing to hunt a vast amount of wild species to satisfy its very demanding appetite. Among the dragonfly's extensive prey list are mosquitoes, gnats, fruit flies, butterflies, termites, and even other dragonflies. Just as their enormous eyes are a crucial advantage for spotting predators, when it comes to hunting, they also have a field of vision of nearly 360 degrees. Furthermore, their highly acute sense of vision allows them to detect even a tiny mosquito from several meters away. Being a prodigious hunter of the air, the dragonfly calculates the trajectory of its flying prey and begins a brief aerial chase, which inevitably ends with the colorful insect claiming another victim. During its rapid sprints in flight, this insect is capable of reaching speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour. Flying at such speed, the Anisoptera quickly has its prey within reach of its spiny legs. With its prey within range, the dragonfly positions its legs in a basket-like shape and pounces on the insect. With impressive precision, the predator captures its prey and immediately, without even stopping its flight, begins to devour the fruit of its hunt. Using its powerful mandible, the insect can easily tear apart the prey and chew it. After a successful hunt, the dragonfly doesn't even stop to digest its food, because, with its extremely fast metabolism, the insect needs to hunt up to hundreds of small prey to satisfy its daily requirements. In addition to preying on small insect populations on a daily basis, maintaining optimal control over them, another scenario in which dragonflies display their ferocity is when one of their fellow insects invades their territory. Males of this species tend to be extremely territorial, refusing to tolerate even one of their mates approaching their domain. To avoid intruders, dragonflies often take daily walks, guarding the boundaries of their territory. Similarly, after their reconnaissance flights, they may perch for hours on high perches, watching from a distance for the arrival of any strangers. As soon as an intruder invades the territorial dragonfly's airspace, the defending male actively pursues it in an acrobatic race through the air that offers astonishing flight displays. After rapid ascents and descents and sharp turns, the defending male usually ends up chasing the invader. Occasionally, the territorial male may also adopt threatening postures, displaying his vibrant colors and the size of his wings to persuade intruders to abandon his domain. This highly territorial behavior is justified by the defense of food-rich areas, as well as those most conducive to reproduction. These encounters between males, in which the strongest insect often emerges victorious, ensure that the fittest males retain the right to reproduce. While the dragonfly continues to soar through the air at full speed, captivating with its striking colors, right there, amid the abundant vegetation of the Borneo rainforest, another insect prefers to go completely unnoticed, leading an elusive and solitary life. Hidden amidst foliage, the stick insect takes the definition of camouflage to a new level. With an elongated, straight, cylindrical brown body, this phasmid is able to disappear by pretending to be a small branch. They often have distinct markings and patterns along their bodies, which blend with the texture of the bark, adding even more realism to their already striking camouflage. Both its legs and its thin antennae can simulate small secondary branches, perfectly fitting its role as vegetation. The latter also allow it to be in close contact with its environment, perceiving changes through touch and smell. The stick insect's camouflage abilities go beyond its physical ability to disappear among vegetation. From the dense jungle of Borneo, where atlas butterflies tirelessly search for a mate before death overtakes them, a few thousand kilometers south of the planet, in the heart of wild South Africa, rises one of the most impressive societies in the entire insect kingdom. Living in a hive with up to 80,000 individuals, there is no other way for bees to survive than in community. Like the social termites, the appearance of bees varies greatly depending on the caste or social stratum. However, as a general rule, they all have 2 pairs of membranous wings, a pair of segmented antennae, and 6 legs. The workers, all female, often make up the majority of the hive and are typically the smallest individuals, no larger than 1.5 centimeters in size. Their robust, hairy bodies aid them in their arduous tasks of collecting pollen. Of course, their distinctive brown and yellow coloring, with their abdomen covered in black bands, steals the show. Their barbell-shaped sting also gives them a menacing appearance. Drones represent the males of the hive and have a somewhat more robust and larger body than the workers. They are notable for their large eyes, lack of a stinger, and slightly darker coloring. The queen, for its part, is by far the largest bee, measuring over 2 centimeters. Her long, slender abdomen is a reference to her important role in laying eggs, and she also has a smooth stinger that she can use countless times. In the complex social life of bees, each member of the hive has well-established roles, which means that, even in this vast society, order and an irrevocable hierarchy reign. The queen, the only fertile female, is responsible for the vital task of hive reproduction. To achieve this, she must mate with countless males during a mating flight, during which she stores the sperm she will use throughout her life. Tasked with supporting such a vast society, this regent lays up to 2,000 eggs a day, ensuring the sustenance of her vast empire. She can also use pheromones to guide the behavior of her subjects within the hive. The drones, on the other hand, have no major functions other than copulation with the queen, avoiding any additional work other than fertilizing the monarch. While this can bring its benefits, they are usually expelled from the hive at the end of summer. As in the busy world of bees, there is no room for idle personnel. In contrast to the lazy males, worker bees carry the greatest workload in the hive, performing virtually every task that keeps the society afloat. Within the worker caste, there are groups of insects specialized in different tasks. For example, there are nurse bees, who are dedicated exclusively to caring for larvae and pupae. Builders, who work tirelessly secreting wax and shaping the honeycomb. Storers, who are responsible for receiving nectar and pollen for later processing. Guard bees, who guard the entrance to the hive. And of course, foragers, whose job is to go out and collect nectar, pollen, water, and everything else necessary for honey production. In this utopian society, every task is essential to ensuring the hive's survival. Tasks related to honey production and storage ensure the bees have food available when the spring and summer abundance dries up and nectar becomes scarce. The nurses, the queen, and even the drones all play a vital role in the reproduction and growth of the hive, something without which this society would be doomed to perish. For their part, the guard workers are responsible for ensuring that everything their fellow bees have built doesn't collapse under the attack of a cunning predator. Aware of the succulent treasure hidden within the hive, predators aren't long in coming, intent on devouring the honey and even the insects themselves. Honey badgers, baboons, mice, skunks, bee-eaters, and even insects such as hornets, ants, and hive beetles can threaten the survival of these social hymenoptera. As soon as they see themselves attacked by an invader, bees will not hesitate to use their dangerous stingers. In addition to piercing the attacker's body, they release a powerful apoptoxin that can cause severe swelling and pain. Although guard bees represent the hive's first line of defense, they can use pheromones to alert the other workers, prompting a swarm of up to thousands of aggressive insects to respond. While its sting attack can be extremely effective in deterring predators, with this attack, the attacking bee is instantly killed. Another clever survival measure when besieged by predators like mice is to immediately seal off the hive's entry points using propolis, allowing the insects to retreat into the comfort of their shelter. Sometime after the bees' fierce defense of the hive, the sun begins to set over the horizon, indicating that it is time for the mosquito swarms to take over the skies. The mosquitoes, also known as mosquitoes, represent one of the most impressive species in the entire insect world. Their segmented body, divided into a thorax, head, and abdomen, with a pair of small membranous wings, and their 6 long slender legs, give them a striking yet intimidating appearance. This, of course, if they weren't tiny, measuring no more than 6 millimeters. The proboscis of these winged insects is by far one of their most impressive features. Females have a long, thin proboscis containing several mouthparts, ideal for piercing the skin and sucking blood. Males, on the other hand, despite having a more robust proboscis, are unable to pierce the skin and are limited only to sucking liquids. Despite having a reputation for being bloodthirsty creatures to satisfy their enormous appetite, the truth is that these insects' diet consists mostly of flower nectar, plant sap, and ripe fruit juices. Only the females, while developing their eggs, feed on blood, as they need all the nutrients it provides to support the energy required to lay eggs. To find these hosts, who will provide them with what, for them, is an elixir, they detect the sources of carbon dioxide produced by their prey when it breathes. Mosquitoes are capable of locating their victims at distances of up to 30 meters. They also employ sophisticated thermal detection capabilities, which allow them to locate exposed skin, the best places to strike. Once the target is located, the female inserts her proboscis into the area and immediately pierces the skin in search of a blood vessel. Through her stylets, the insect injects her saliva, rich in anticoagulants and local anesthetics, leaving the host unaware of the intentions of this, well, bloodthirsty insect. Upon finding the glass, the mosquito sucks its victim's blood, gorging itself if possible. Typically, in these attacks, a mosquito ingests no more than 1/100th of a milliliter. Although this may sound like a tiny amount, it will be more than enough to bring her numerous eggs into the world. She lays them individually or in small sacs in stagnant water sources, where they will begin a complex development process that includes a larval stage, as well as an impressive metamorphosis. Leaving aside the fleeting attacks by females on mammals, birds, amphibians, and even reptiles, where they reveal themselves as skilled predators, the truth is that these insects are a crucial food source for species such as bats, swallows, dragonflies, spiders, praying mantises, and even fish in their larval stages. The role that mosquitoes play in ecosystems is somewhat controversial. Although they have been classified as the most lethal species for the human race, responsible for up to 1 million deaths a year, these mosquitoes also represent a fundamental link in the food chain, in which countless species rely for sustenance, and without which they would inevitably perish. Termites are another insect species that have historically been classified as pests, ignoring their crucial role within ecosystems. These tiny insects play a vital role in recycling dead organic matter and establish numerous symbiotic relationships with other animal species. Just as mosquitoes and termites are threatened, virtually all insect species face various challenges to their survival arising from human activities. For bees, habitat fragmentation due to mass agriculture and deforestation is leaving these Hymenoptera with fewer and fewer suitable hive sites, significantly reducing their populations. The use of pesticides is another practice that affects countless insect species, including the majestic praying mantis. Likewise, the deterioration of ecosystems claims the lives of millions of these invertebrates every day. With the increasingly scarce availability of milkweed plants in their habitat, the reproduction of the captivating monarch butterflies faces more challenges than ever. By observing the world of insects up close, from the precision of a dragonfly hunting to the ingenuity of the stick insect in remaining invisible, we realize that these tiny beings are, in fact, the silent giants of our planet, representing the invisible foundations upon which biodiversity and ecosystem function rest, thus giving life to millions of wild species. Were you impressed by the stories of ingenuity, struggle, and survival from the insect world? Then don't leave without giving us a like and leaving a comment in the box below to tell us which species impressed you the most. If you want to stay up to date with our upcoming videos, you can also subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. Don't forget to share the video with your friends too, so they can learn about this fantastic microscopic wild kingdom. Without further ado, we'll see you next time with more stories of cunning predators, skillful prey, and above all, wild lives.